Carol Hempel is here. We've got Susan R. Michael is here. And who else did I see here? Word and Bird Nerd, hello, hello. Pam Priest, hello, hello. M. Sue John is here. And NDH61160. Hello. It's good to see you. This is the Quilt Nerd Show. It's the Quilt Nerd Show. And, you know, we do this show at least 3 times a week. We definitely do it 3 times a week. Sometimes we do it 4 times a week. And it's interesting. I mean, every time I do it, I learn something, not just about quilts, but about myself. And you. And yeah, it's been an incredible journey thus far. And I'm really hoping, sorry, the schmutz on my second monitor. I'm really hoping that at some point tonight, someone will subscribe or follow, because I think you're going to see a little surprise on your screen if you do. I set up a little, an alert, okay? And it's funny because the alert button widget thing that you can do here in Twitch when someone subscribes or follows your channel, I finally realized on the setup screen on my dashboard, it says essential right there next to like the alert box functionality button thing. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, essential. It does seem essential to have some sort of celebration on screen whenever somebody subscribes or follows the channel, because that's really important for the creator. And it's really fun for the person who does the following or the subscribing. And so I'm just hoping somebody does that so we can see if it actually works. I tested it, you know, but I don't know. So hopefully if somebody, oh, okay. Aha, you thought you were already following. No wonder nothing would come up on your television version of Twitch. Did you post that picture of like this show on the big screen? Because I saw it in Discord. On my list of things to do is like go through all the Discord. In fact, I have Discord business to share. But that was pretty great. You just hit follow. Oh yeah? You did, eh? Okay. Well, that's interesting. You did post that picture. I mean, that's amazing. When I don't even know if I should share this, but this is all I'm going to say. So don't press me on it. But there's a channel I follow. It's so bizarre. It's like a reaction channel to like this other show. I mean, it's crazy. And like Eric doesn't get it. I'm like, no, it's like a soap opera, you know, and this person, you know, talks about this show and like reacts to the show, and I love it. And he just doesn't get it, you know, and it's okay. But the other day I was like, oh, you know, there's a lot happening on this show. And I was like, I'd just love to put it on the TV, you know? And he was like, okay. Because I think he's kind of interested in this thing now. So anyway, my point in telling you that is that I put on a YouTube reaction channel show on the television, and it was like, oh, wow, you know, I could see my favorite show up on the big screen. So if you have any joy like I had, I understand. So welcome. I'm glad you're here. Vicky 4800. Padma's here. Yes. Holmes is here. Yes. I'm glad that you can stay as long as you can stay. We are the nerds. We are the Quilt Nerds. And we hang, you know? That's what we do. We've made a community. And that is a good thing. And so yesterday, you know, it was like re-entry, getting my bearings, you know. And today I was thinking about what comes next for all of this, you know. And I think, well, I went to the gym today. And by the way, if you're new here, if you're out there lurking, I'm going to tell you what this show's all about, okay, in just a second. We do a little chit-chat, and then we talk about why we're here, and then we talk about quilts. And I have lined up some stuff. A lot of tonight I feel like is going to be, it's really going to be a conversation. It's going to be a dialogue. So I'll be looking for your comments and things in the chat tonight really carefully, because there's a few things that I think, you know, as this community that we are, you know, we've got some community like things to do. One of them being, you know, this quilt project that my mother suggested live, no pressure, but this Quilt Nerd quilt, you know, it has to happen. It needs to happen. It will happen. And so what is that going to look like? And so part of what I've done is pull up some really wonderful pictures of pictorial quilts because I've said like, oh, I want it to be this pictorial quilt. Well, what does that mean? And what sort of inspiration can I give you? What sort of visuals to inspire you and us? I don't know what I'm going to do for this thing. I don't know what this quilt's going to look like, but it must be made. I don't know where it will live either. You know, maybe we like circulate it around because it's going to be a wall quilt, right? It's not for sleeping under. It's going to be an art quilt, if you will. But we'll figure that out, right? All I know is I've got a lot of quilts pulled up to look at with you. And many of them come from the 1970s because the 1970s were a time when a lot of people made a lot of really incredible pictorial quilts in groups. And we stopped doing that. At some point, it just became, you know, group quilts were blocks. And that's fine. They're amazing. Have you seen some of the modern quilt guilds group quilts? Incredible. But there's other things you can do. And so we're going to look at that. So that's really a community conversation. Circulated. Well, I mean, maybe if you're a core nerd, you know who you are. If you're a core nerd, I mean, I don't know. I mean, what if you had the Quilt Nerd quilt for like 3 months, you know? I don't know. And you displayed it in your home. Or something. I don't know. And then you sent it on to the next nerd who contributed. Does anyone do that? Is that a thing at all? It's probably a bad idea. I mean, it's probably not a great idea because wouldn't you be terrified? Wouldn't you be horrified if something happened to it on your watch, you know? When I was in 2nd grade, you know, Miss Osborne, one of the best teachers I ever had, she had a hamster in the classroom. And I was the one who I probably raised my hand, but I was the one who watched it over the summer, you know, and it died. It didn't die because it was hungry. It didn't die because it was being mistreated. It was its time and it died. And I remember going into, you know, the little playroom and the little glass case where the hamster was living. And it was like, oh, it's just so awful. I mean, it was that moment as a child when you're like, Mommy, why is the hamster hard and cold? And so, you know, I have baggage about a lot of things in my childhood. I don't have baggage about the hamster. We didn't do anything wrong. And it was like, the hamster died, you know. Okay. Later in my life, I would come face to face with death, you know, and really contend with that. But, you know, the hamster was like, oh, okay. Am I in trouble? You know, no. Okay. But so if there was a Quilt Nerd quilt and I don't know, things got crazy one night and you have a lampshade on your head and you're flinging wine around, you know, and it gets on the quilt. I mean, that kind of thing would happen to me and I would never forgive myself. So I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going to look at quilts tonight that may inspire us and kind of help shape what we're doing here. Because there has to be a quilt just for the principle of the thing. I mean, we need to make a quilt that's weird again, you know, quilts. As I've said, you know, they've gotten over the years, the moderns shook this up, but over the years, quilts, with all the commercialization, got pretty, you know, commercialized, you know, and I think we need to take it back. You can do weird, Susan R. Michael. Look, if you can't do weird, you wouldn't be here. But just being here, you're a little weird. I love that. I love that about you. Love that for you. Dee Marie, okay, a dear friend's dog is no longer here on my watch. Oh, you know, it's who said Flat Stanley? Flat Stanley, indeed. The class rabbit. Yep, you kept it for a weekend. I know. Yep. Intro AFK offline screen. Yes. It would. And it would be great behind me, you know? Yeah, there's many things that can happen with this quilt, including like being the first of many. I mean, why can't we all, you know, well, there could be more than one. Anyway, we're going to figure that out. Yeah, same, Sujan. The idea is making your mind explode. Just wait till you see what I've got lined up for you. You know, all these quilts to show you. I got to show you all these things. Yeah, okay. Dee Marie had this happen with a dog, a friend's dog, and Sue had it happen with, yeah, the budgie. I know, hamsters. No, that hamsters don't live long. Bip likes weird. I mean, like, that's a surprise because we all do. I'm glad that we can all embrace it. Yeah, it has to be hanging on the wall. Although I will tell you, okay, look, this is a green screen. That's a big green screen. So hopefully I can not just have a quilt in front of you, you know, to start the show. Today's is extra awesome. But maybe I can have that quilt, you know, behind me. You know, big body. It's going to be exciting. Hey, Kevin. Hello. Faith is here. Yes. A cool backdrop. Totally. So yes, Sue, we will force you to quilt. Just a block. You can start. We'll start with a block. Okay. So I went to the gym today because here's the deal. I need to be making YouTube videos, short YouTube videos about quilt history and culture. Like all of the things that we talk about on this show. It's great content. It just is. It's not, you know, I'm being objective about it, you know. YouTube does not have any, I mean, does YouTube have content that is like, you know, quilt history, you know, 5 minutes of, you know, quilt history about this thing, or, you know, Gloria Vanderbilt in a Adolfo patchwork dress? Like, there's no video about that. And I want those videos on YouTube, so I should just make them, right? Just little bits of quilt history, quilt culture, you know. And so it's been on my calendar that's on the wall over there, just printed off from the internet, just a, you know, September, October, now November. And I put, you know, when I'm twitching and all that. But, you know, in September, I was marking off days where I was going to film a video, you know, and film and edit a video about quilt history. So just little nuggets. And I haven't done it yet. And partly it's because of this show, you know, it's a lot. I am doing stuff for Quilt Folk, and it's like, you know, I have to keep doing that because I want to, and I frankly need the income. So, you know, I can't recuse myself of that or leave that. I also don't want to. But like what I have to do for this channel is so much. I mean, ugh. So editing takes forever. It takes forever with a piece of writing, and it takes even longer for a piece of video if you care about it and want to make it good. So when I mention going to the gym, it's like, what does this have to do with the gym? Well, I got to make some changes, man. And I've got to, I don't know, I think like a morning workout to sort of put me in the right mindset will help me sort of focus. And I think I focus pretty well, but is that true? The busier I am, actually, the more I tend to focus. But getting content together for this show is so important to me. And you know, I just, anyway, so I spent a lot of time doing that. And then, you know, I tried to make the alert boxes work, and I don't know. But yeah, I've been telling all of you for months now at this point that, you know, Twitch can do this and Twitch can do that. But I mean, it's just it's a lot, and I don't know anything about it. So I feel like I'm sort of inching along. But if I don't set aside time, not that this show will change. I mean, this is the show. But I have to carve out some time to film these little videos, because not only would it be a revenue stream, you know, not much, right? But maybe someday could, if people are watching these things, it's smart. I mean, there's a lot of things I cannot do. Oh, the list is infinite, but I'm good at content. I just am. I always have ideas. Always. You've put me in like a brainstorming session, a focus group, put me in like, I mean, tell me what you need content wise. And I'm like, oh, I can do it. And I'm proud of that. It's just an innate quality. give me 5 more minutes and I'll just start telling you all of the things I'm bad at, right? Like imposter syndrome all day. But I know I have ideas all the time. So I should be doing something with that. Simply because the content is really good. It's not just me, like, you know, doing that. It's like really cool stuff, man. You know how much cool stuff I have to share. So I need to be doing that. And yes, exactly. So, okay. So let's just see what's going on here in the chat. I said I was going to be paying close attention, and I am. Kevin is in the chat. I'm so glad. Weird means free-spirited, Padma says. Even as a child, you were labeled weird. My sister. Yeah, I mean, and that was such an insult. I mean, in small town Iowa, if you were weird, forget it, pariah. And then I embraced it because I was like, oh, I don't want to be like these people. That seems mean. But I mean, as an adolescent, I was very mean. You know, it's like, I don't want to be like these people. They're terrible. They're fine people, but... oh, good. Susan ordered fantastic quilt history books this week. Will you please make a note to put in the Discord which books you got? Because I've been thinking about the quilt. Ooh, we might be here a long time tonight. I'm feeling that we may be, because I am full with the spirit tonight. The blues. Okay, the blues. Where are the blues? The blues. Maybe fabric. Maybe someone talked about blue fabric. We could each make mini quilts and take pics when we travel to faraway places. Have quilt will travel. That's very interesting. Okay, I'm bookmarking that. Bookmark that. That gave me an idea. Garden gnomes. Yes. A little mini Quilt Nerd quilt. And every time, so this is the idea I had. Every time you are in a very nerdy, quilt nerdy situation, like, I don't know, you're seeing a quilt at some obscure historical society and, you know, off the coast of something, you know, you can hold up your little Quilt Nerd mini quilt and like take your picture with the quilt, like, you know, this, I'm talking mini, you know, like by your head, you know, like this. Like if your quilt was like this big-ish, you know, like this. This is my planner. And you'd be like, and it would say like quilt, you know, Quilt Nerd alert. It's actually kind of fun. This is what we're here for. We're going to brainstorm. Put me in a coffee shop in Amsterdam, Sue says, and I can EPP all day long. If you know what EPP is, you might be a quilt nerd. YouTube, Kevin says, YouTube and Twitch, I imagine, is a marathon, not a sprint. So hard to maintain over time because there is a lot to do. It's true. You know, people think they're going to be YouTube legends, you know, and I mean, I made Quilty for 5 years. We did 52 shows a year. For every week there was a show. And we, in the beginning, oh my God, so hard. But by the end, you know, by the 5th year, we were filming 26 episodes. That's a whole year? 26 episodes? Was that right? Yeah, 26 episodes in a weekend. So we would do like 12 on Saturday, 12 on Sunday. And of course there was tons of prep before then, but it's just an extraordinary amount of work. You know, I will tell you, it's a real drag. I don't own any of the Quilty content. I mean, the views, right? The aggregate of the views on Quilty videos is great. I don't own that content. That content is owned by Fons and Porter, which is owned by whatever media company bought whatever media company that bought whatever media company that bought Fons and Porter, you know? So I have experience making the stuff. I have very little experience sort of doing it on my own, you know? And it's not all about the money, but it's about, you know, sort of doing what I love and trying to get paid for it. Imagine I've been very lucky in my life to write and be creative and make a living doing that. But yeah, YouTube is no joke. You have to do it and keep it going. And I will say, Vanessa Vargas Wilson, the Crafty Gemini, brilliant, right? Brilliant woman, really brilliant. In every way. I mean, she went to law school, and I mean, she's great, and she's a fantastic entrepreneur, successful. She has an empire, Vanessa does, and we've known each other a long time. And she said to me once recently, she was like, if the content is good, it doesn't matter what it looks like. She's like, my early videos were terrible. She's like, we had like basically a video camera, filming me like in my terrible, like dirty, not dirty, but messy studio. But the content was really there and people came for that. They didn't really care how it looks. And to be honest with you, that I have kept that in mind with the Twitch show. Not to say we're not in a nice place, have a nice environment here, but I won't let you look at some of these other Twitch channels, y'all, and it's like, oh, yeah, we're a long way from that. But hopefully, and the content's the most important thing. So the YouTube videos, it can be the same way. I don't have to make them perfectly, but I have to make them. And Kevin, you're right. I have to keep making them. Marathon, not a sprint. It's really good to hear that. It's really good to hear that. And Dee Marie, I think you're right. Starting off with getting the blood flowing in the morning is really good. When I want to be in shape, I really am. But when the COVID numbers were going up, we're going to get to the quilts, just promise. But when COVID numbers were going up this summer, Eric and I paused our gym membership. So it's been 4 months since I was in the gym. And man, I was like, I did not want, I was like passing the mirrors. I was like, nah, all these chips. But I think I think I need need to sort of reset. I need to, you know what I mean. Okay. Anyway, yes, YouTube makes it an easy way to get info out there. It's so true. Super Nerd, similar experience. Yep. Nerds, you find so much. A book recommendation channel. Oh. Now, Vicky, do you mean that I would give book recommendations, like quilt history book recommendations on my channel? Pardon me. Hey, Eric. Or do you mean, do I have a suggestion for a good book recommendation channel? I would like to know. Interesting. Either way, I could do that. The gym has energized me. I think it's true. Patreon. I have not looked into Patreon. Molly suggested Substack the other day. So that's something I've been looking at too. Yeah, Vanessa is amazing. Hey, Myra. Hi. Quilting Chic. So chic. It's true, you're chic. I can tell. I don't know. I can just tell. I'm pretty great. Well, that's great. Can I tell you how chic you really are? I'm so glad you're here. Welcome. The research. Oh, you admire the research I do for each show. Well, I appreciate that. My mom used to say, do what you love, the money will follow. And it's like, well, it's a lovely thing to say, and it may be true, but I don't think it's a universal law. But what is true is that I love doing this show. I love prepping for this show. And if it ends up being a revenue stream of any consequence, it isn't yet. I'll just tell you that much. But, I'll just tell you, like, it's exciting. Like, I don't know when Twitch will pay me, but I think so far I've made like $150. Really? And like, that's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing because I get to come online, do exactly what I said I wanted to do with you all, which is share in this awesome stuff. And there you go. There's some money there. Eric just blew his nose. Eric, if you ever hear what sounds like either an elephant in the distance or perhaps, let's just say it, me making a rude noise, it's Eric blowing his nose. He sounds like it's crazy. Adorable, but insane. So yes, okay. Vicky, a channel on the Discord where anyone can list a book they deem worthy. I love that idea. There is also, Discord channels are part of the business we'll talk about. We'll talk about a quilt and then we'll talk about Discord because it's been very chatty tonight. And I want to make sure people who are new are like, I thought this was a quilt show. What is this chick talking about? Her like goals. I have quilt goals. Alistrina says, a general recommendation channel. Yes, for links on books, videos, etc. I think that's a great idea. Yes. A media recommendations. Yeah, of course. Yeah, like, call it like Nerd Out, the Nerd Out channel, I think Nerd Out would be kind of fun because then it's like anything nerdy that you find or a book that you love, you put it in the nerd out section. I think that's really good. It shall be done. It shall be done. That's awesome. It's a great suggestion. Oh yeah, Empire of Cotton. Oh yeah. I could suggest a book per Twitch show. I love this. Yep. Quilting Chic. Learned who I was through Fons and Porter. Yep. I mean, back in the day. Oh gee. Michelle Van Scrappy. Hi. Okay. Good. It keeps quilter company. Indeed. All right. So let's talk about this quilt that is on the screen. This one it's a corker. Okay. Let's do this. All right. That's the quilt. And I'm going to pull up the image of it separately so that you can read what's going on in there. Hey, Marianne, a rabbit hole section. Oh, I like that. The media rabbit hole. Rabbit hole, nerd out, rabbit nerd, something like that. Yeah, it's a great suggestion. Thank you, Vicky and Padma and Marianne. So this quilt I saw years ago on Wikimedia Commons. I remember telling you not too long ago that the Los Angeles County Museum of Art put a lot of their collection of quilts, images of their quilts on Wikimedia Commons. So I saw this years ago, and to be honest with you, I didn't look at it very closely because I don't know, it's not the most. I don't know, it's interesting, but I don't know, I never really looked that closely at it, until Sarah Nashura. If any of you know her, she lives in Chicago. We featured her in Quilt Folks Illinois issue. A brilliant quilter, terrific teacher. She gave a lecture at the Chicago Modern Quilt Guild once, and she mentioned this quilt in her lecture, and I was like, oh, that's really something. I'm going to look into it. And so I'm going to show you this quilt more close up because, of course, what's really interesting about it lives in the center there. So let me open this up. Now, I'm sorry to say, I did not find any stuff, about this quilt. I looked. LACMA doesn't have anything but the record. This quilt is in their collection. I can read you the information that's, on the record. And I shall. But this quilt is called the Old Maid's Quilt, okay? Or Old Maid. Sorry, Old Maid. It was made by the Young Ladies Sewing Society of the First Congregational Church in Canandaigua. I'll show you the record. In the United States, in New York. Some of you may know this. Sorry, it's just like one of those words you look at it and your mind your eyes sort of swim. Canandaigua. In 1871. Pieced, appliqued, quilted, and inked cotton. And yeah, look at the center of this quilt. So I'm going to zoom. It's a really nice high resolution photograph. And so we can see that this is an illustration of an old maid. And I mean, it says Susan Elizabeth Baggett, born December 9th, 1841. And then the name of the town, Canandaigua. Oh, it's just right down the road from you? Really? Pam Priest, really? I'm sorry, I can't say that word very well. But what I remember from this is that, so it's presented by YLAS, the Young Ladies Sewing Society, okay? And what I recall is that it was like a wedding quilt or something. Is that right? But it's signed. I mean, it's a signature quilt, or it's a signature quilt. And look at this fun thing that somebody did. Look at that. They wrote their message in a little face. That's so cool. That is really cool. Well, what is Canandaigua? What is it like, Pam Priest? Is it like a sleepy little village? Is it a mid-sized town? What's the scoop? So it's this old maid. It's this drawing of an old maid, and I recall Sarah Nashura saying something about it. That was perhaps it was given by friends or something, you know, to this person. I mean, it seems like a lot. It seems like, you know, oh, you're not an old maid anymore. So we were gonna make you this old maid quilt, pal. But then you're getting married, so, you know, we'll just double down on it. Like, I'm not totally sure. And if you can find anything on it, please, please, please. I mean, if you're Googling now, you know, I won't condone, you know, looking away, Googling while I do condone looking away and Googling. Of course I do. This is quilt nerdery. But if you are Googling and you find something about the quilt, for heaven's sakes, tell us. And put the link in the chat so I can pull it up. It's a mid-sized bustling town, and the name is Native American. Yes, and I mean, I'm just terrible sometimes at sounding out some of these words, and I apologize for it. A mid-sized bustling town. And Marianne, is it satirical purposefully so? I do think that it is satirical purposefully so. So the question for me is, like, if the person they gave it to really was single, you know, like old maid age single, like, I don't know that it's like that funny, but it is also a lot to give to a person who's getting married. Also, what's she gonna do with it? I don't know. It's like, it's a joke quilt. Okay. No matter what it is, it's amazing. You know, this illustration of this old maid, I mean, sewing, you know, and then these wonderful leaves, and this sort of is appropriate tonight, this quilt, because we're going to be talking about applique and, you know, freehand quilts and things. So here it says 30 old maid. Oh, OM, 30 OM, 30 OM, 30 old maid. I mean, I searched Susan Elizabeth Baggett, old maid quilt. I searched, you know, Young Lady Sewing Society, old maid quilt. Just did not find much. And, I mean, didn't find anything. And I'll show you, whoops, nope. I'll show you the, here's the record from LACMA. This is where it is. And of course, I'll put the link in the chat. I mean, in the Discord. If you're not part of our Discord yet, you should be. You should join us. And I can, when I talk about Discord again, I will send an invite, put an invite in the chat. So yeah, so this is it. This is what we have from LACMA, and gift of Shelley Ziegert. Her name came up last night at the bonus Wednesday night stream, if you recall. Shelley Ziegert, a mover and shaker collector. Yeah, big name in the quilt world in the second half of the 20th century, last quarter of the 20th century. So that's our starting quilt. So if you're here for the first time, if you're joining us now, or joining us in the future, watching the playback on Twitch or YouTube, this is what we do. We just, we look at quilts because we care about them and we care about what they mean. And what they mean is everything. They mean history and culture and art and fashion. They mean humanity. Quilts are really good examples of, you know, humanity. In fact, I wrote an article once that was rejected from the magazine that I submitted it to, but that's fine. And I didn't go with this intro, but I one of the drafts of the piece was like, if aliens came to Earth, I rejected this intro because it was kind of hackneyed, right? It was kind of like too easy. It was a tired kind of scenario. But I do think it's true that if aliens came to Earth and they asked for one object to represent like our humanity, right? Like who we are, the best of us, what we are, how we are, it would be hard to find a better object than a quilt. Because it is a material object that is useful because it covers us, keeps us warm, protects us, protects our bodies because we have bodies. Okay, aliens, maybe they don't have bodies. Maybe they're just like a mist, you know, and they're like, oh, give us something that represents you, that tells the story of you and your kind. It's like, well, this is a quilt, and here's why we chose it. You know, it covers us. We have these bodies. We get cold. But then also we care about art and beauty. So we make these things to cover us because we get cold. But we make them beautiful because we care about that too. And also, this is something that everyone does all around the world. They make blankets. You know what I'm saying? So like, the quilt, man. It's all about humanity. I'm doing a lot of this tonight. Yeah, so we look at quilts. If they were just pretty blankets, it wouldn't be enough. But they mean more than that. They mean a lot more than that. And I grew up in a family where quilts were a big deal, and they were fine for me for a long time, but I wasn't really, I didn't really make them a central part of my life until I was like, I don't know, 30. I was 28 when I started making quilts, but it was later in grad school, in my late 30s, when I really discovered why I liked them so much and why they're worth nerding out on. And so if you stick around and you watch this show, which is just me and us being curious together about the quilts, it's not a lecture, it's not a demo, I'm not a teacher, I'm just a nerd. And we just nerd out on this one specific topic. And yeah, and we've been doing it for like 3 months now. And that's, I mean, I'm not going anywhere. Too much to talk about. Okay, so if you haven't subscribed yet, I think you should. If you're an Amazon Prime subscriber or member, you can subscribe to the show for free every month. Every month you can. And Faith says, just an idea. You could research where one place we could all donate quilts via the Quilt Nerd group on Twitch, where you could donate quilts. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, like we are a body, right? The Quilt Nerd people, you know? And if we were to do things like that, like this is, yeah, it's like a place where we would donate. We could donate as the Quilt Nerds, right? quiltnerd.org. Ooh, oh dear God. Oh, no one, please. Please, just, everyone just, I'm just putting you in like, I'm putting you in like I have to pause reality, right? I have to pause reality for a second. So everyone's just frozen in time to give me time to see. God, I'm such a dumbass. If quiltnerd.com is taken, what this is, look, it's live, man. I don't know. I didn't think about it. Ugh. GoDaddy.com. Ugh, it's live. Anyone, you know, it's just, I don't know. Look, if quiltnerd.com is taken, then we'll just call it yes. Well, I'm going to try to buy it anyway. It's not totally crazy. I'm going to do this now. So you're just going to have to you're going to have to entertain yourselves while I see if I can grab this. I'm such a dumbass. Yeah. Okay. I just paid a broker or something to get it. I don't know what that means. I just clicked it. I just tried to get quiltnerd.com. And now, because I've talked about it live, if this broker, I don't even know what that means. If this broker is like, how valuable is Quilt Nerd? Brr, how much can we charge? I mean, I don't even know if I just bought it or what. I don't know. Then maybe the algorithm will say, oh, there's a show on Twitch, you know, and this girl's made $150. And it's going up from here. So maybe we'll charge her $5,000 for that domain, but maybe not. Hopefully what you've seen here tonight is that I just got quiltnerd.com. I'm such an idiot. Come on. Sorry. Anyway, what was happening before that was that, yeah, there's sharks. All right. Well, yeah, .net. Okay. Well, I'll just, yeah, it probably is. Sujan, I'm glad I cracked you up because, well, everything's chaos, you know, it doesn't matter. It's like if somebody tries to, fleece me for Quilt Nerd, I'll call it quiltnerd.tv. Quilt Nerd Twitch. We'll figure it out. It's fine. It's fine. I could call, we can call it anything. You can call it anything. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you some quilts, some pictorial quilts. Yeah. Quilt-nerd.com. Yeah. We'll find out. The Quilt Nerd. Yes. There's going to be a way. And I'm going to, I just paid, it wasn't much, but I just clicked buy, on this like quiltnerd.com thing. And so if it's reasonable, that's great. Quiltnerd.com is great. It's simple, keeping it simple. That's great. If it doesn't work out, it's fine. We'll figure it out. Okay. So here's some, this is just inspiration basically that I want to show you. And then, very, very good. Wait, don't look. Look away. Hide sidebar. All right. So we're talking about this quilt that we're going to make. Okay. And, what is this going to look like? Yeah, quilt nerds. Yeah. Interesting. So, and I'm sorry. I did not mean to go away from the quilt nerds doing something together, right? Like as a body donating quilts or, yeah. And we are all around the world. Yes. Tony does fundraisers, including quilt races. I have seen that. Project Linus. This is great. This is, yeah. We can, all of those things are available to us to do, right? Or, to raise money together, to send, a donation from the Quilt Nerd to, whatever, a charity of our choice. Quiltoni's December fundraiser for St. Jude's is a layer cake race. Oh, that's cool. I need to watch a playback of something like that because that's really neat. Fabric to donate. Okay. Crowdfunded for the domain name. That's a good idea. Yeah, Patreon, donations, bits, all that stuff. It's like if I didn't think about getting that domain name the moment that I was like, yeah, I think the name of the show's got to be Quilt Nerd. Then, I need all the help I can get. And I don't mean to portray myself as some, boob or some nincompoop. I don't know. I think about the content first and then all the other stuff, I'm a very good candidate for a manager. Hang on, let me mute. Got a chip button. Okay. So let's look at some of these quilts that I have in mind, as I think about the kind of quilt that this group of people might make together. And, we all know there's so many kinds of quilts out there. There's so many ways a group quilt can go. But, because of the things that I have said and the things that I've shown you, I've said it many times, and I'll say it again, that before the quilt industry got so big and was valued at billions of dollars, there was, in my mind, in my opinion, there was more originality in the quilts. And in the past, in the 19th century, basically before the 1980s, definitely before the 1990s, you had more quilts that were just original design. And that's how the International Quilt Museum will title a quilt, of the kind that like the one you're looking at now, which I'll tell you about, original design. Like when we were looking at, who were we looking at? The wonderful woman who made the Easter quilt, Bertha. The Easter quilt is in the Fabric of a Nation. One of you will remember. Thank you, Myra and Faith. God bless you people. City Mac Quilt Nerds. Yeah, exactly. Beckstroth? Original design is how her quilts are named. Okay, so that there was a lot of them, you know, and of course you have art quilts. I mean, it's very complicated. Of course you have art quilts coming to the fore in the 80s, totally original, one-offs, you know. So it's not so easy just to say like quilts got boring, you know, in the 90s. It's not true. It's not true. But I think we can all see that when we look at quilts in the past, there are some really interesting quilts that just did not follow a pattern. And as there were more fabric companies, and as there were more sewing machine companies, and more magazines, and more, you know, pattern sellers, the internet, you know, you could become a pattern designer and sell your patterns on the internet, and then social media, everybody's showing, you know. So I want our quilt to be like the other kind. I want our quilt to be creative, like just deeply, profoundly, exuberantly creative. And so this quilt, for example, is the kind of thing I'm thinking of. And yes, the setting, exactly. Excuse me. Oh yeah, the influence of Flickr. It's funny you mentioned Flickr, Marianne, because we're going to look at some quilts on a pictorial quilt on Flickr. Yes. So this is interesting. So Marianne's like you know, Flickr influenced quilting because it wasn't until so many quilters could see each other's work. Oh, that's really good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The internet, right? I would say like the advancement of photography, you know, digital photography, where you could like email a picture, you know, at first you would take a digital photo and maybe, you know, download it to your computer and upload it to an email for your friends, or you would have a blog, right? Exactly. And you would share pictures of your quilts. Digital technology made that easier. And then of course, social media, you know, and so everybody's showing each other more of their stuff. I think that's an interesting theory, very interesting. So this quilt, let me just start in here. So this quilt, this is Melody Growlich, and she is a professor. This is from a quilt. So this is a Quilt Folk picture. Melanie Zacek, the brilliant Melanie Zacek. She just got married. I need to get her new name in my mind. Took this photo in Utah, and Melody is a teacher at a university in Utah. Did not bone up totally on Melody, but she has taught women's history and, you know, feminist theory, and she is just really awesome. And she has this wonderful quilt that her students made, okay, from, you know, it was a project that they worked on. She's a college professor, and so this quilt, I can, you know, if I had my Quilt Folk Utah copy, I could just pull it off the shelf and read to you a lovely article written by Laura McDowell Hopper about this quilt and about Melody. But, you know, it has, each block was made by a student, different student. Perhaps, you know, Melody may have made, or a student may have made these sort of pretty straightforward 4-patch or churn dash kind of things. But I've got some detail shots of this as well. But you see, you know, you have a canvas basically, you know, in this kind of quilt. You have your dimensions of your block, and you make your thing. And I would suspect because I've never made a quilt like this with a group. I've never, you know what? Our Quilt Nerd quilt will be the first group quilt I have ever participated in. Ever. I don't know. I just haven't. Hey, it's Crosley at home. Crosley, I love your show. I don't catch it live as much as I would like, but I'm going to try to do it. Just need to get used to the schedule, and you need to figure out Amazon Prime and Discord thing. Same. We are all new to this. A couple cool people in this community had Twitch before, but I mean, 95% of us didn't. Same with Discord. Crosley, same with us, same. But once you get into all this, it's like, so we're really glad you're here. I'm so glad you caught the live. It's very fun. And we're going to make a quilt together. I know. So you're hearing it here first. Flickr, yes, yeah, Flickr. I mean, Flickr was started, I think, by a woman. I do think it was. It's everything you want in a group quilt, Holmes. This is what I'm saying. Oh, Bip. Okay, we'll catch you on the replay. I don't like that you have to do a conference call. Why don't you tell them you're on another conference call? This is a conference call. Okay, see you soon. See you on the replay. And Dee Marie says, and like I said, I'm going to be, I know it's taking me a while to get through the photos, but I really do want to be up in the chat and seeing, what you're all saying about this. So the visuals may go a little bit slower, but this is important. It's a group thing, right? So, one group quilt of 24 years ago, says Dee Marie, was a setting like this example. It was a gift to a member who was ill. Mark, you've got your quilt block idea. I mean, make a list, my friend. Make a list of the ideas. Okay. So what I'm saying is, I don't know if, this is just a lovely picture of Melody. I don't know if, I suppose we should talk to each other, the people who are going to be involved in this. And I mean, what are we going to, what is this thing going to be? We probably need to elect or establish, a project manager for it. I mean, because let's be honest, there's no shame in me admitting I can't do it. I just can't do it. My mom, actually, she might do it. Mom actually might do it, but I don't know. I don't know. The point is we're going to need, somebody to kind of keep track of things, and I'm going to make a channel in the Discord for the quilt project. So any questions, all the info, all the fun ideas, the process shots can all go into our Discord clubhouse, and that can be the place where people talk and figure things out, okay? But it would be great. Yes! Oh my gosh, great. Okay, Marianne, you and I are thinking alike. Oh, the UK group gal? Well, you may have just elected yourself. So let's see, nerd quilt or something. Yeah, okay. Got ideas rolling around in your head for your block. I'm so excited. Block size, we don't know yet, Mark. We don't know yet, but we will figure it out. Yes, Susan, exactly. We'll need one person to assemble it, another to quilt it. You think of the AIDS quilt. Exactly. I mean, everybody doing their original, putting themselves into their contribution. It's fascinating. And there are charity quilts. I didn't pull any group charity quilt pictures into this little presentation or this little sampling, mostly because a lot of the ones that I have in my mind, like these charity quilts, are the quilts that raise awareness for a particular cause. For example, in Connecticut, there was a very, really an amazing charity. It was a social awareness campaign quilt around opioid abuse and addiction, and Quilt Folk did a story on it. And that quilt, that community quilt, was mostly, is that true? Sort of like the AIDS quilt. It was there was lots of drawing and embellishment and things. It was more of a, here's your square, and write your message and things like that. There was more to it than that, but it was a lot of that kind of thing. And I'm talking to quilters, right? Specifically, we are people who have a fabric stash, probably. So it's going to be more sewing involved. You know what I mean? But but the AIDS quilt, totally. Everybody sort of putting their own voice into this. Yes. Hey, Little Bird Stitch. Oh, it's going to be great. Not 2 inches. Yeah, exactly. 100 years ago, Kevin says, I saw the AIDS quilt on the mall in DC. You did. It was amazing to see so many quilts. What year did you see it? I mean, that's really, because it's only been out a few times, as you well know. That's really special that you got to see it. You don't have to say if you don't. I don't even know what years it's been there. I know it's been there several times, right? But that's pretty amazing. I know. I mean, Sibby Mac, we may get so many blocks. There may need to be more than one quilt, and that's what I was thinking. Is like, well, maybe here's another detail shot. Maybe there's a lot of quilts. Maybe we don't have to circulate the quilt, share the quilt, year by year, and end up with a dead hamster, if you will. If you just joined, you might not understand what that reference is, but watch the replay and you'll understand. But maybe there's just a bunch of them. I don't know. And we got to make this first quilt now, people, because if it does become a Twitch superstar situation, it won't. But then we might have a problem on our hands. So we'll have to set some deadlines. I don't know. I'm a terrible guild member. I've never done a group quilt, so I am not the person to really make these decisions, but I can show you this stuff, this inspiration. I can encourage you, and we can make it happen. And look at, you know, this quilt. Look at this. Like this, the binding is the back folded over, pretty sure. You know, this piecing is hand pieced. I think it's clear that it's hand pieced. It's imperfect. I love that. I think that's great. I don't want to have a quilt that is perfect. I hate those quilts. I mean, I don't hate them. I love them all. I love all quilts, but our quilt will have soul, damn it. It just will. It just has to. It just has to. So look at that little schoolhouse and look at that little button. You know, these are the kind of moments that you should feel very, 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 very free to incorporate. Look at this wonderful picture. Isn't it great? Oh yeah, women's literary traditions. That's okay. 1988. It had something to do with that. Look at this. Oh, it's tied. Love that. Love that for us. I think we should tie our quilt. I mean, I'm gonna show you another tied quilt here in a minute. That's fabulous. Look at this little name. I think it might be embroidered. Laura Masuk up there, tiny and sweet. And here there's more. Oh wow, Emily Dickinson. I guess, yeah, that's embroidery there. If I did lettering with embroidery floss, that is how it would look. And I'm not saying that it looks bad. I'm just saying it looks like that person doesn't do that every day of their life. And I love it because you can see their hand in it, right? Look at these little, this is wonderful. Yeah, I haven't looked at this in a while. Hey, Nazda Quilts, hey. Okay, you missed the first half. You're celebrating your birthday. You're 40 on Monday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. 40 is fabulous. When I was a kid, you know, my mom was single, you know, after she was 40, she was single. And when she was 40, like, my mother had never looked so beautiful. She was like making her, you know, her quilt world, you know, success in her, it was in her 40s when things really started happening for her, you know, and she was single at 40 and that was hard for her, but she was like strong and she was a single mother and she was like, yeah. So I always looked forward to my 40s as being a great decade because my mom was way cool to me in her 40s, 50s too, 60s too. Now she's in her 70s. She's great. But I just want to say that I am 2 years into the 40s. Personally, never been happier. Really. My 20s, forget it. 30s, I misbehaved more in my 30s than I did in my 20s. Now I'm in my 40s. I have love. I have a full belly. I get to be doing this. Like, life is good. I hope that you have a wonderful birthday. And just, I mean, get ready. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. I don't know the demographic. Sorry, Nazda Quilts. I'm going to continue your comment. I don't know the demographic of our group, but happy Diwali to anyone who may be celebrating. Day off of school for you tomorrow. Happy Diwali. Diwali in London, there's a wonderful, last year there was a wonderful like neon art thing. I'll find a picture of that. Happy Diwali to you, to everyone. That is really lovely. I wonder if there are Diwali quilts. You know, the show where we'll find out. That's awesome. Happy birthday. Happy all the things. Yes. Quilt talk. Yes. Okay. Names. You've got to add names. Excellent. Oh, names for sure. Sue, the 40s are the best time for women. Agreed. Trolling convention centers. I related. Trolling convention. I love that sound of that. Tied. Yes. Tied. Sally. I'm gonna be. Yay! It's so good. Okay, so let's look at a little. Yeah, names for sure. Our names, your name will be on your block for sure. Look at this. Oh, I just saw this. There's Melody's block. Oh, look at that little piecing. See, so you can do, when I say applique, and you know that's been kind of the idea from the start is these pictorial quilts. I'm going to show you a lot more images of them. Applique is the idea simply because you can really be freeform about it. But look, Melody's block is piecing, really tiny tumbling block piecing, wonderful. And look, this little bird has been painted. So that's totally cool. This is pieced. Okay. But, oh, okay, well, that was Melody's quilt. But a lot of, and then here we have this applique quilt. This is a picture from, let me pull this up here. This comes from the Digital Commonwealth Massachusetts collection online. Hamilton Girl Scout Troop 49, Bicentennial Quilt, 1976. And hey, just so Viv. Hi. Maybe I said hi to you before, but either way, hello. Applique is your favorite type of quilting. I have become the same way. Same. I mean, you saw my COVID quilt, you know, which is, I'm turning the corner on that thing, literally. I just love it because pictorial quilts have such character. I mean, pieced quilts, of course, can as well. But look at this. Look at this stuff. Look at this little face. Look at this little face. What? Because this is a Girl Scout group quilt, 1976 for the bicentennial. I mean, I think in my sort of view, there have been two periods where American quilts were just like, like so awesome and so original, just like bursting with creativity. And that was the Century of Progress, you know, contest, right? In the 1930s, 1933, 34, when the Sears Roebuck Company put out the call to America to make a Century of Progress quilt, you know, for the Great World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago. And 25,000 people submitted quilts for this contest. And they were miraculous. They were wonderful because if you incorporated the theme of the fair, the Century of Progress, you could be eligible for more prize money. It was the Great Depression. It was the nadir of the Great Depression. You know, it was terrible. And so everybody, you know, there were so many people who got so creative in their quilts. And so that was a time of great creativity. And then the bicentennial too was this time where you have just so, I've got another bicentennial quilt to show you where people they took to the quilts, man, and they just rocked out. And so look at that little horse and wagon, or yeah, that is a wagon, a covered wagon pulled by an animal that doesn't really look like a horse, but you know exactly what it is, and it's wonderful. And remember my rule about pictorial quilts. About quilts. If there's a quilt in front of me and it has animals on it and I can't really tell what the animal is supposed to be, I love it. I love the quilt. I just do. It's a rule. It's like a law of the universe. Look at this, flowers. I'm pointing out all of the things here for you as we're thinking about this pictorial quilt nerd quilt, you know? Look, a little drum, a flag, George Washington. This little red thing looks a little bit like he's crying. A crying George Washington. No, I don't know what this is. I don't know what that is. It works for me. If somebody, you know, makes a block for the Quilt Nerd quilt and it looks like that, fabulous. Like I don't care what it is. It's abstract. It's like Kandinsky or something. Okay, this little face. You can make a face. Look at this lettering. You know, why not? Just see what it was. A tree. I mean, you can't go wrong with a tree. Sign the blocks. Oh, 1,000%. Sue was a Girl Scout until she got married at 18. Child bride, I see. Okay, so this one, we saw this quilt before. Hang on, I need a chip. We saw this quilt before. Ew. Ew. Ew, there was water in my chip bowl. Ew. All my chips are soggy. Ew. Are all of them soggy? Ew, this one isn't soggy. Gross. I have to get different chips. Crisps. A Liberty Bell. Where's the Liberty Bell? Oh, yeah. That's a Liberty Bell. Of course it is. Of course it is. I love it too. It's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, our Quilt Nerd quilt, if it looks half as good as this quilt, I'm happy. Okay, so now let's look at this one. We looked at this before. This is a quilt that belongs to Bill Volkening. Some of you may know him. The pictures that I have for you come from his blog Wonky World. Is that right? Wonky World? Yeah, I'll put the link in the Discord. And I just want to show you this because it's a really, really, really great pictorial quilt. It's not like ours is going to be, because ours will have blocks, you know, everybody's going to make their block and then we'll separate the blocks with sashing. I mean, I don't think we need to think about it any harder than that, you know, like we make our block, we sew them together with sashing. That's just probably how it goes. I mean, maybe Quilt Nerd Quilt 2.0 will get something else going, but to me, it seems simple. But this one is, I mean, this, wow, pretty cool. Also made around, is it true that was made around 1976? I'll find it. I think it was earlier than that. Anyway, check out these details. So, hand quilted. Love the hand quilting. It's beautiful and lovely. Look how, you know what? Since we're nerds, we do this. Let's look at that quilting. So it's sort of, I mean, it's been quilted, you know, within the patchwork, right? Because like it's not an overall design. Here you have lines in this larger piece, and then in the diamonds here you have just that, not stitch in the ditch, right? But you know, about a 1/4 inch in the stitching, the quilting, you know, and then you have your clamshell over here, and here you've got, so it shows that, so the quilter is really following the patchwork for the quilting, which I think is groovy. Look at this lovely little puff, this little applique top of the flag. My mom taught me how to needle turn applique, and it's really great when you get that little, she's like, oh, you want to go for that little puff, you know. Oh, Faith, how are you doing? Are you okay? I hope you're doing okay. That is not fun. I hope you didn't do any online shopping. Was it Holmes who said don't shop for anything? Who bought the Drindle skirt? Ridiculous. Okay, so here's a question. I mean, yeah, this is a very good question. Montgomery Ward, wow. The question is, are we keeping our block ideas under wraps so it's a total surprise, or are we collaborating? I mean, this is really a very good question, and one of the things that we have not solved yet. And that is, you know, I mean, I feel like some of these bicentennial quilts, I mean, there were so many that were made and everybody went about it differently. But like, I mean, when I think about a block, the first thing that comes to my mind, if I was going to make a block for a Quilt Nerd quilt, is like, you know, a pair of glasses. I mean, it's probably not what I would ultimately go with, I think, maybe. But like, you know, black spectacles, you know, cute little black spectacles. Look at this rainbow. Isn't that great? And then like, I don't know, something. I would kind of start with, because what's nerdy? Well, you know, spectacles, right? Glasses. But that's a pretty easy, you know, it's a pretty obvious thing. And so I feel like we should talk to each other about what we have in mind for blocks, because we don't want like 5 people, you know, with glasses in their block, you know, or the glasses being the focal point. So I don't know. That's what we got to figure out. Oh, was it Trapunto on the flagpole? I think you're right. It is stuffed, isn't it? It's that's stuffed. Mini flag. Yeah, I was wondering if this was like an actual, because this is printed, right? The Stars and Stripes flag. Very, very clever. Okay, so that's that. Oh, look at the little fence. Look at this. We can do this. We can do anything like this. You know, once you can applique a thing, if you can cut out fabric into shapes and stitch it down to another piece of fabric, you can do this. You had a crack up idea. Susan, it's all a crack up. Oh, I like this. Oh, Faith, you got, don't you go anywhere is all I'm saying. Yes, mature indeed. Okay. Cut a shape, stitch it down. Dee Marie's got it. Cut a shape, stitch it down. You're appliquing. Okay, this is another vulcaning quilt. He's got it in his collection. And I just, you know, it's simple. It's just it's a pictorial quilt. Obviously, it's a full quilt, not a block by block thing. But I I mean, it's just wonderful. It's tied, and look, this says with love, jam. Jam? With love, jam. 77. What if you were that person, you know, like, hey, I'm Jam. I make quilts for friends or lovers. See, this one I made is of mountains and a rainbow. And I gave it with love to someone I cared about. Okay, yeah, it's great. Okay, now this one is another one from Melody Growlich. I don't have, let's see, I guess I could have found, it wasn't a pictorial quilt like her one that the students did together, but as I was looking, it was a quilt she made for her son, I believe, but there were a couple detail shots of it in the folder that I was looking through. These photos belong to Quilt Folk, by the way. They're from the Quilt Folk shoot that I was at. And so I was looking at that other quilt, and I just saw a couple, and I thought I would show you this because of course I would show you. Look at this little salamander, and he's got little button eyes. Little button eyes. Great. God, she's good. And then this guy has yarn. You know, and look, these stitches, are these perfect? Whatever that is, you know? No, they aren't at all. Not at all. And what did she pick really, you know, brilliantly, you know, her fabric for each of these pieces? Yes. Look how smart. Look how smart she is. Look how, you know, this is green grass, and then this is maybe a, you know, a bush, you know, I mean, like she's varied her greens, so because it was a jungle scene, you know. And then look at this. Look, she used ribbon. There's some ribbon there. That purple fabric, by the way, I totally remember, and I totally remember even, I think the fabric that the lion is atop, it's just, it's like, you know, 80 something. All these fabrics are fabrics from like my childhood. This green calico, I mean, I remember everything. Look at this little monkey down here in the corner, you know, so she's put down her little monkey shape and then cut out another piece, you know, to make his face. There's a button there. And here, hang on, I want to show you. Can you see? I know it's really cut off, but look down here at the elephant ears. You know, she cut out the shape of an elephant, and then to highlight his ears, she cut out another shape and put it on top. I mean, it's just, and look, not all of us are artistically gifted in this way. I mean, she's clearly, you know, she's got a real nice sense of art, you know. But, you know, you could trace something from a book if you want, you know. If you need an elephant for your Quilt Nerd block, which you may, just, you know, get yourself an elephant. Oh yeah, the block sizes and things. The snake in the tree. Oh yeah, this is great. That's my name's Paul, and that's between y'all. I'm just gonna let other folks kind of weigh in on that. What size this should all be. We're not there yet, and we will. Obviously, that's like the first thing to figure out, right, before anyone starts doing anything. But we'll just have to have that discussion. Okay, and so then I got a couple other pictures for you. This photo, which was also taken by Quilt Folk by Azuri Watala in Vermont. We went to the Shelburne Museum. The Shelburne Museum in, oh dear, let's see. Where is the Shelburne? Where is the Shelburne? Someone look it up. Yeah. So, ow. Yeah, the hippo. Yes, exactly. It's all wonderful. Yes. Imperfection, thumbs up. So the Shelburne Museum in Vermont is a very famous museum. It just has incredible American material culture. I mean, it has, I don't know how to describe the Shelburne. I should just go to the website and let them tell you what it is. It's just this remarkable collection of American objects, and you know, like it's like a campus almost. It's a huge amount of property. Different buildings have different collections in them. Havermeyer Webb, what was her name? Mrs. Havermeyer Webb was a collector, very wealthy family. And she has quilts in her collection. They have quilts at the Shelburne Museum. And if anyone's been there, probably many of you have been there, you could maybe describe it better than I just did. But there are quilts at the Shelburne that are a wonderful part of this collection. Like they have like a whole case full of forks. Like you see like forks or maybe egg cups and then like a plow, or like a general store sort of refurbished to be the way it was, or in the 1800s or something like that. It's really, really cool. A beautiful place to visit. And this is one of the quilts that we saw. And the Shelburne has in particular more than a few really amazing, pretty famous pictorial quilts, or quilts that I would consider to be pictorial. And this was one of them. I don't have a full flat shot of this quilt because they were showing it to us on a table. If I knew the name of it, I could find probably a not great picture, but like a black and white picture maybe even of this quilt. But I mean, look at all this. Look at these little animals. I mean, love him. He's great. This chicken is amazing down here just below him. Great. And by the way, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, because after we get through these pictures, I'm going there's good days to be a quilt nerd, and then there's really good days to be a quilt nerd. And I found us a resource. Yes, a resource. A textbook, if you will, to help us all put together a pictorial quilt. Just hang on. We're almost there. Look at this person. Look at that. It's really like a collage, or like, it's really just like paper. You could just, do it with paper first and then do it with fabric. There's our little fingers pointing to the little things. Giraffe. This person was pretty good. I can tell pretty much what all the animals are, but maybe not. What's this? What's that down there? I don't know. Is it a fox? Is it a squirrel? We don't know. We'll never know. That's the way I like it. It's great. It's great. Oh. What do you suppose that is? What is that? Is it a vole? A mole? Look at that polka dot. This is awesome. Over here. Okay. You're feeling too stressed, Susan? Oh, I'm so glad. Faith, I hope Faith is feeling depressed. De-stressed. I don't want you to feel depressed. Okay, this is, oh yeah. Oh, there's one more of these at the Shelburne. This is a very, very famous quilt. Look at this. It's soldiers. There are these soldiers all around the perimeter here. And I mean, look at these fabrics. Oh my God. Look at this fabric over here. Look at this one over here on the left that was used to cut out this soldier on a horse. You have to turn your head to the side, to see it, but that's just wild. That's a wild fabric. The year on this quilt, I don't know. It's 19th century, feels like early 19th century. I mean, that's some chintz. That's some like chintzy stuff. But then this polka dot seems wild. I don't know. I'm not good at dating quilts. I mean, if I get it within like a 20-year period, I mean, I'm better at 20th century is definitely better, but like 19th century, I don't know. Sometimes I think quilts are way older than they are. You always date a quilt by the most recent fabric. Is that true? No, by the oldest fabric. Something like that. I don't know. Maybe if I could remember that rule, I would be better at dating them. Dee Marie has a very good tip in there. Read the tip. So yeah, there you go. That's amazing. And then here's a little better detail shot. Okay, good. We've got a better view of this thing. I mean, is that wild or what? I mean, to be perfectly honest, I think it's a little bit large of a print for this applique moment, but is it still amazing? Of course it is. Is this quilt famous and in a museum? Yes. Yes, pictorial for COVID quilt. Myra, doesn't it make sense? Doesn't it make sense to tell a story? Tell the story of COVID, right? You can represent COVID with a quilt. You can sort of symbolize COVID. You can communicate the pandemic, through a quilt that's piecing and abstract, of course. It's brilliant. It's amazing. Or, you could tell a story with specific things, right? And it's interesting, like these quilts that I'm showing you, art quilts. Oh, Look at these birds. Ugh. I love this picture so much. I put it as like the opening picture in the Vermont issue of Quilt Folk. If you have that issue, you can go there now and see it for yourself. Darling. Oh, don't you love this blue and white pinstripe? Oh, Dad. So, but it's interesting, like that, you know, there are these art quilts, and I suppose we're making an art quilt, like kind of the Quilt Nerd quilt is what we're talking about. And you can think of it that way. And there are so many story quilts, you could call them, you know, them story quilts that are made within like the art quilt genre. Like that's sort of how they start. It's like you have an art quilter, and that art quilter is going to make a story quilt, and it will be an art quilt that tells a story. For some reason, and I don't know if it makes sense, I don't want that for us. Like, I want this quilt is like, it's a group project. Like, I don't even want it to be a group quilt. It's like it's a group project. And by calling it that or framing it in a different way, it's like it releases the quiltiness. Like it becomes about people creating a thing instead of, you know, a guild group, a group quilt from a guild, you know, and there's nothing wrong with any of that, but I don't know. I'm just trying to bring it back to the basics, y'all. And then of course, yeah, Harriet Powers, I mean, one of the most famous quilts in the world is a pictorial quilt. And I'll just point out to you, and of course, anyone who's going to see the Fabric of a Nation exhibit in Boston at any time. Oh, is this the one that's on display? I don't know. But regardless, this center block, I don't think this is the Bible quilt. I think this is a different one. I really need to look at them side by side. But look at those. Those are falling stars, right? I believe. Like you know, I guess they might be angels. I'm not sure. I need to get like a block by block taxonomy of this quilt, of both of Harriet Powers' extant quilts. But like, this is a wonderful shape, and it's not, you know, they don't match. None of them match. And this bird is crazy, you know, and this little guy. Oh, and in the Discord, some of you may have noticed, you might have used it, I made an emote, an emoji, called Harriet. I cut out this little guy from the quilt, and I made it into an emote in the Discord. It's the Rapture. Okay, thank you, Faith. So there's a little emote called Harriet in the Discord. I don't know why. I don't know if it means like good, or I don't know really what it means when you would want to use the Harriet emote in our Discord channel, but I'm sure it'll sort of happen. People will just start using it, and it'll appear. The meaning will be born eventually. Okay, look at this guy. What's he doing down here? What's his deal? What's your story? I mean, what is that thing? I don't know. It's great. It's great. Okay. Oh yeah. And this one, this is the last one, and I made it the last one because it has an extraordinary story. This is the African American Heritage Bicentennial Commemorative Quilt. And it's got a very cool story, and there's a YouTube video on it that's an hour. We're not going to watch it together. Yeah, we're not going to watch it together. Also, because copyright and stuff, I don't know how much I could do. But this quilt has one hell of a story. It was stolen. So we're going to come back to that. But what we're going to do right now, okay, so that's the last picture. Well, we're going to come back. That's going to be the last thing we do, is talk about this quilt, okay? And we're going to look at it more closely and all of that. But what I'm, oh God, who's going to do, it's an opossum. Thank you. It was an opossum. Or an aardvark. I don't know which one that was, but he's cute. And then the applique portrait of Mary. I don't know, y'all. Just put me in spectacles, whatever you do. Okay. I don't want to take a break. I got to show you this. Let's go show it to you. So, no, I have to take a break. This is going to be really, really fast, but I got just real fast. I got to get fresh chips, and then just wait. I mean, I just can't wait till you see this thing. Okay. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Really. I mean, 2 minutes, fast. Hey, okay, I'm back. Told you it'd be really quick. Got fresh crisps and you guys, folks, I gotta cut calories. I do. And I think we know crisps are not gonna go entirely. Out with the wine. I'm going on a diet. I mean, but not like a diet, but it's the calories. I enjoy my wine in the evenings, but no. So, I'm gonna laugh, but this is the last little bit of whatever was open in the kitchen. And so, it's happening, and then it's not. I feel it, you know. I don't know. It's easy enough to cut it out. It's easy enough to cut it out, so I'm cutting it out. And that's, I told you at the beginning of the stream, it's focus time. I have to focus. There's a lot to do. And maybe being in Budapest for a couple days, you know, for a few days. Maybe it was really a vacation and I feel sort of refreshed and everything. But I just think, I don't know. It's not like I don't drink to the point of being like, ugh. I wake up in the morning and I'm like ready to face the day, but it's the calories and it's just like, it's good to take a break from all the things. You had a mimosa. Hey, see, that's the thing too. It's like, it's not like I'm, you know, but to have it be a treat like that, like to go to brunch and be like, I'm having mimosas, you know, that's fun. And if you just have a mimosa whenever, not that I do, but if you know, make anything a treat and it's more of a treat, right? So, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's good. Okay. Susanelle. Hey, Susanelle. You finally made a live since starting your new job. Oh, and Mark, did you gift a sub? You gifted a sub to Susanelle. This is excellent stuff all around. All around. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and I want to show you keto. You know, I know. Listen, yeah, keto can be very good for people. It's a problem. It's not keto. It's not. I don't know. For me, I just look for places where I can cut some calories. And cut them, and I move more. So I went to the gym today, and it was pretty weak. But you got to start somewhere. Anyway. Uh-oh. Is anybody else frozen? Marianne's frozen. I mean, I'm frozen for Marianne. Anybody else? Oh boy. Okay. Well, while we're figuring it out, and let me do something here. Reloading. Okay, I think so far it's okay. So here's the deal. Do you all know what the Internet Archive is? Well, I have been looking at the Internet Archive from time to time. Let me do this. Internet Archive. Here is the Internet Archive. I'm just gonna pull this up here. Some of you may be familiar with the Wayback Machine. If you're not, the Wayback Machine, well, here, look, search the history of over 616 billion web pages on the internet. The Internet Archive is a nonprofit library of millions of free books, movies, software, music, websites, and more. Now, the Internet Archive is now 25 years old. I'm going to click this here. I mean, obviously it's no frills, okay? The Wayback Machine, you can look up a website like my blog, you know, there's my Paper Girl blog kept for years, okay? It may write again. I hope it does. Life is weird and long, and if you're lucky, life is long and it changes a lot. And so I wrote a blog for like 12 years and then I stopped doing it. I miss it. I want to do it again. But all of my blog entries from my first days as a blogger in like 2006, like that website is long gone. That server, whatever, is long gone. But the Internet Archive has all of those old... the Internet Archive is a project. They take pictures of every single page of the internet. Always. Like, all of my old blog posts from 2006 are available through the Wayback Machine. You can put in a URL. I mean, it's crazy. You can search it. And so it's the 25th anniversary of the Internet Archive. I'm telling you barely what this even is. I mean, there's so much more to it. And you should just explore it. It's exciting to learn that it's the 25th anniversary. And so they have lots of things here, key moments and access to knowledge. Okay, this is really cute. You know, 7th century, the world's oldest library is founded in Mesopotamia. Okay, the Gutenberg printing press, the first ebook. Wow, okay. So then the Wayback Machine in 2001. So learn more about the Internet Archive on your own. You know, I should learn more about it too. But what I can tell you is that they don't just have internet archives, as we saw when we first looked at this. You know, the Wayback Machine deals with all the old URLs. The Internet Archive has much more than just these. Yes, Susan. Much more than just websites. There's books, for example. And I have found a few books that have been very helpful to me on this archive. One of them, just as a side note, and then I'll get to the book that's going to blow your mind, fully blow your mind. Internet Internet Archive. Let's see. The other day I was thinking about a very famous book. I mean, I should say a canonical book in the quilt book canon. Quilts in America by Patsy Orlovsky. Do you know this book? It's a really, pull it up now. It's a very, wait a minute. No. Don't you read ahead. Don't read ahead. Quilts in America by the Orlovskys. It was like Patsy and, oh yeah, Myron. Okay, Myron Orlovsky. They wrote this book years ago, 1992. And it's a big book. It's a very thick book. And look, the Internet Archive has a copy of it. And you can read it page by page. Just like that. I pulled up the Orlovsky's book because I was wondering, does it hold up? Is it a book that is still, like, how has it aged? Whatever. And, excuse me, I'm not tired. And I was thinking about, books and, what if I wrote a book about, and what is the Orlovsky's book like? And, and so I was looking through it and I was sure that the Internet Archive would have this copy of this book because it's older. It's kind of, it's not it's a reference text of a kind. And sure enough, here's Quilts in America, right, by the Orlovskys. So then, obviously, like the quilt nerd, I need to favorite that, like the quilt nerd that I am, I was looking at other quilt books that the Internet Archive might have available. Guess what? There's a ton of them. There's so many. And we are going to look at a few now. In particular, we're going to look at this one. Hang on. Oh man, are you ready for this? Y'all? Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. You need an account. It's free, of course. It's amazing. Do you realize the time we're living in? I mean, this is amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, knowledge. Great moments in the history of knowledge. I mean, we can read books together on a using light beams and like electromagnetic waves, essentially. It's unbelievable. So this is a book that I found. So I borrowed this book for 1 hour. Okay, so you can no, don't read ahead. Okay, I borrowed this for 1 hour. Some books you can borrow for 24 hours. I'm not sure how all of that works. You can poke around. As you can see up here, there's web. I'm up here at the menu, books, video, audio, software, images. It's basically like you don't know from rabbit hole until you start hanging out in the Internet Archive. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Yeah, it's the resource you craved 20 years ago, Dee Marie. Same. You can browse the books. Now, it doesn't have, well, you'll see. Okay, you'll see. So I'm gonna search quilts in the book category in just a minute, and we'll see what they have. They're older books, they don't have a book about modern quilts that came out last year. That's not what it's about. But we'll take a look and you'll see. And this book would be the one that would be most relevant to us at this time as we discuss a Quilt Nerd quilt. I've never heard of this book. Let me get to full page here, or full screen. I'd never seen this book, but I started, looking at pictorial. I think I searched pictorial quilts or story quilts or something like that. This book is amazing. Now, can I do anything bigger? Yes, I can. Full screen. Okay. Once again, you know how we keep stumbling upon Miss Shelley Ziegert. Look at that. There she is again. Introduction by Shelley Ziegert. And I honestly didn't notice that until now. Okay, whoops. So, all right, let's get this to be, obviously you can zoom in. You see, I'm using the little zoom in thing. Oh, look at those little people down there picking grapes. Looks like a pictorial quilt to me. Story Quilts and How to Make Them by Mary Claire Clark. Yeah, Viv, exactly. You know what you'll be doing tonight. That's what I'm saying. It's a problem. It's a problem. Okay, now I found this book. I started poking around. I put the link in my little show notes, and that's all I did. Well, I flipped through to see, is this as amazing and salient and perfect for us as I think it is? The answer was yes. And then that was all I did because I want to look at it with you. So let's take a look, okay? We're just going to flip through. Wait, let me, what's going on here? I have to move this over. What it was? Hang on. Why is this all cocked over? Oh, look at that. How about that? I just wonder why is it, I don't know why it's over to one side like that. Hang on. No, it just is. It just is. Okay, we're not going to worry about it. Is this right? Okay, yeah. Well, look at that quilt. Wouldn't that be, isn't that interesting? The kind of quilt we're talking about making. Hey, well, hi. It's the first time chat from a viewer. It's Sherry. We're gonna call you Sherry. RPH. We'll call you Sherry. We'll call you our Sherry or something like that. So Sherry, I'm so glad you're here. It's your first time catching a live. You know, anytime you can catch the live show, I am thrilled. And if you can only watch the replay because you got to work and you got to do life, I totally get it. But it's so much fun when you are able to drop by, and I'm really glad you're here. We're talking about making a quilt together. This nerd community is itching to make a quilt, and it's going to be a quilt that has a story to it. I mean, not a story, but like it's going to be pictorial. Wow! It's going to be pictorial. And what does that mean? Well, that's what we're going to find out. So this book, by the way, I went to see if I could find it on Abe Books, and I could. And I think that you can find it, and I think that you should find it because it looks like it's awesome. So this is an introduction by Shelley Ziegert, who is no slouch. She knows her stuff. So this is not, you know, this is a legit like resource, right? A good text. Look at that. Look at that Centennial album quilt. Wow. Talk about pictorial. I mean, look, we're flipping through this whole thing like we are at a bookstore. Okay. So I'm not going to linger on anything. I'm going to just, I mean, we need to find that quilt and read all about it, right? Incredible. RPH stands for Registered Pharmacist, so you're always working. You know, may this episode of Quilt Nerd Live take you away from your work for just a minute, and perhaps when you are back at work, your mind can be noodling on the kind of quilt that you would make if you had no rules whatsoever and you wanted to tell a story in your quilt. That's what we're talking about, is like telling a story through pictorial quilts. And this is amazing. Is it not? Is it not? Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Look at this. Look at this. So this book has instructions. I mean, are you seeing this? Look at this. So this is the picture, Pretty Polly. And you're actually getting material, you know, instructions, material, you know, a materials list, instructions and things. Yeah, I know, because basically my instructions to you were like, just wing it, you know, follow your heart, you know, trace. I think I literally said to you earlier tonight, just trace a hippo if you can't do one yourself. Oh my God, I'm dead. I love this so much. But now you have this book, right? You can find this book either at the library, of course, or you can find it eBay, wherever you get your used books. Whoa, I turned the page. And you can find it on the Internet Archive. It's free right here on this website. Extraordinary. Look at all those animals. Look at the animals, people. Okay, let's do this. We're just going to flip. Look at it. Helpful beyond words. Same. I mean, look, there's having fun cutting out things that don't really look like the things that you want them to be. And then there's being sad because your vision is not being executed. This book is incredible. Am I right? Guys, if you haven't subscribed to the show, I think you should be a subscriber. I think if you value this content, in fact, even more than you being a subscriber, even more, tell a friend. Tell a friend about this show and how crazy it is. How crazy good it is. I mean, did you have this book in your life before? No. Did I? No. I'm not really doing anything. I'm just keeping my eyes open, you know? That's right. And Faith points out women didn't have a voice. People of color didn't have a voice. This is true for a long time and is still true in many cases. So they did their stories in quilts. Indeed. And one of the things that Carolyn Maslumi has said, you know, she started the network, the what is it? Oh, I don't want to screw it up. Hang on. It's the Women of Color Quilters Network. Hang on. Yeah, Women of Color Quilters Network. There's a wonderful book that of quilts made by women in this guild, this national guild, and Threads of Faith. Okay, let me just pull this up real quick. Threads of Faith. And there's so many story quilts in this book, and it's wonderful, and you should get it. And it's very true that a lot of, and I have seen in my I'll put this link in the show notes on the Discord. It's very true that in my experience, like traveling the country and interviewing many quilters of color, you know, story quilts are really, I mean, you see them, I see them from women of color, particularly specifically African-American quilt makers. Story quilts are often, you know, part of their like output as a quilt, way more often than the white quilters that I've met. I mean, what can I say? Like, it's really interesting. And so you're very correct, right? That women, and particularly women of color, the story quilts, the pictorial quilts, have a central place for not all quilters, obviously, but a lot of quilters who fit that description. It's really interesting. Anyway, okay, back to this. Why is it dark? Is it dark? No. It's just, this has been scanned, obviously, this book, you know? And so it's just scanned a little bit dark. But I mean, can you believe that this book is out there? It's out there, man. This is wool and flannel, this quilt. Okay, Noah's Ark. We're gonna keep going. So here you have this person is telling you how to make a little ark. And look, the rainbow. Wait a minute. Look, this rainbow up here. Do you see this little twist, this rainbow twist? You want to make that? Yeah, for your Quilt Nerd quilt? You feeling that? Oh, look at that. Huh. She's going to show you how to do it. Brilliant. This is a classy publication. This is nice. I mean, the font is fabulous, right? The font is fabulous. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, it's very cool. Very, very cool. This is just, whew, wow, very cool. Wow. Out walking. That looks like a Tommy DiPaola. Am I saying that right? Tommy DiPaola book. That'd be fun. A Tommy DiPaola quilt. He wrote a quilt. He wrote a book for children that had a quilt in it. Abe Books. Okay, Padma is saying Abe Books has a bunch of copies of this book for cheap. Okay, absolutely. I love Abe Books. I tend to go there before Amazon. Amazon probably owns it. I'm sure it does. Don't tell me. I don't want to know. Look at this. 1880. Oh, it's at the Art Institute of Chicago. Wow. I mean, we just need this. Everyone in this chat needs this book just to look at. I don't know. I've never even heard of it. I had never heard of it. Okay, I'm just going to flip. Wow, what's going on here? Adam and Eve in the garden. Wow. So many pictorial quilts. You have biblical themes, right? Harriet Powers. Wow, look at Adam. Oh, no. That's Eve, who's what? Red? Like the devil or something? Ugh, problematic. Skip. Mother-in-law quilt. Oh, wow. Talk about heavy. No, I'm kidding. I've seen this quilt before. Yeah, collection of Shelley Ziegert. This is a famous quilt. Lulu Newcomb Bennett, the maker of this light-hearted quilt, was born in 1885 in rural Harold's Prairie Township in White County, Illinois. A local celebrity, she was known as a skillful seamstress, as well as a songwriter, poet, and designer of amusing quilts. That's what I like. I like amusing quilts. A towering house, a patient dog, and a feeble-looking mother-in-law making her way up the garden path captures the humor and imagination for which Lulu Bennett is remembered by those who knew her. What did I say? This book rules. That is good writing. I am into it. Okay, great. So you have instructions. I've got a couple other books to show you on this archive. Yeah. We might get a lot of publicity for our quilt. It's true. Maybe, well, okay, so now, Faith, I don't know if you were the person who mentioned charity and stuff before. I think you were. I mean, maybe our Quilt Nerd quilt has a larger purpose. Maybe we make Quilt Nerd quilts, plural, and we donate them to libraries, or, I mean, we have to make sure a library wants these quilts, but I mean, I can't imagine that we're going to make one block, that you all, if you want to participate in this, that you would make one pictorial block and be like, well, that was fun. Guess I'm done with that. I mean, what if we make nerdy quilts and they go places? I don't know. I don't know. I never really participating in a group quilt, making a square. I don't know. This is different. It feels different because it's like, I don't know. It's different. It's like an art project, and there are no rules. You don't have to be good at art. You don't have to be good at sewing. You just have to feel free, I think. Okay? Look at all these instructions. And, by the way, of course, with this kind of thing, read the book through, really look at the projects. Like, this does not speak to me, right? This particular, who cares? This particular lesson, this particular unit, module, whatever, I'm not super about those little flowers personally, but the technique that she shows, this little fold down business that's going on here, may apply to a shape that you want to make in your block, so it's good just to flip through the whole thing. Okay. Wow, it's so great. These are wonderful quilts. I mean, they're just wonderful. Wow. This is the one on the cover. The time the quilt, women, yes, women got our rights on the tale of civil rights. Let's see, remember the time. Tell me, Faith, tell me what you mean. Oh, biblio.com, that's really good. Biblio.com, thanks, Carol. Biblio.com, tale, yes. Oh, yeah. So civil rights, women's rights, exactly, historically, it's true. And I mean, that story's not over yet, right? And the women's movement, had successes and failures and all of that, right? It's all chaos, right? I keep saying that because it's true. Look at those little fish. The classic quilted vest book is at the Internet Archive. I am very happy. I think that's the one of my mom's, I think the first book that she and Liz wrote was the vest book, and I think that's the book that I'm in as a baby. Yeah, it is. Is that right? Yeah, it is. We'll probably look at it. Ooh, this is good to see. The heart and hand motif. This is a famous, it's traditional applique motif in quilt making in the United States and elsewhere, England for sure, Wales, but this heart and hand, and this heart is turned to the right. That'd be a really good nerd session, is the heart and hand motif. I could find just a bunch of places where it appears, and isn't there an Irish, it's not just in quilting, of course. I mean, I think there's an Irish heart and hand icon. Yeah, but that would be interesting to see. So, and that's the other thing, y'all. So in our quilt, it doesn't have to be just books and glasses. I don't need to tell you this, but nerdy quilt references, right? Hearts and hands and like, I don't know, a spinster, or, really, really think about nerdy stuff in quilting, like chintz, or calamanco, or whatever, right? Whatever. Really let your imagination run wild. Run wild. I'm so happy tonight. I don't know. Yesterday I was like yesterday's flow was like, and tonight's flow was like that. Okay. 90. We're on page 92 out of 131. But I mean, I'm gonna go through this whole thing. I can't skip anything. There's a lot going on here. Wow. Okay, we have women fighting over a man, perhaps. Here we have a family. Love this. Ooh, this looks like a prisoner or something. Does it look like a prisoner stealing a horse? Or I have no idea. Oh, okay. Sorry. It's a very touchy zoom. I apologize. Okay, yep. A story. Obviously, it's a story. This makes me think of, Jack Sprat would eat no fat, his wife would eat no lean, that little story. Okay, I'm going to zoom out once more. Okay. And, okay, so you're learning these little tips and tricks. She's making, not yo-yos, but like gathered things. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Nose to Quilts. Clada. I don't know how to say that word. Irish, Gaelic. It's tough. Heart and hand, representing love, loyalty, and friendship. It is exactly that word. It is that. There's probably some Irish folks or folks with Irish heritage in the chat. Oh yeah. This is a very well-known quilt. It was, it's weird. Oh, sorry. It's a lot. It's a quilt that has a lot of, here we go. Thank God. I won't try to zoom in again. A lot of tropes, right? A lot of American West pioneer head west tropes that are, I mean, I was just reading, what was I reading about? Oh gosh, hang on. Sorry. I want to remember something about, yeah. I think it was the Orlovsky's book, actually. But by a certain year, the West had been settled, right? In American history, the West, there was no Wild West or open range left because of barbed wire, was fencing things off, and the land had been claimed, and the pioneer days were effectively over. And the buffalo were gone, right? And the Native Americans had been put on to reservations. And I mean, the story of the West is the story of America. It's really quite dark in a lot of ways. And so seeing this quilt right now, I'm just reminded of what I just read about the West and everything that it meant, even globally. And so you see a quilt like this, Settling the West, which belonged to Shelley Ziegert until she gave it to the Art Institute of Chicago, where I saw it in an exhibit a few years ago. It's magnificent. I mean, it's just the detail is unreal. But seeing a quilt like this, is really, it's a heavy thing. So what does it say? Something of the Indian settlers of the West before the white man. Wow, look at that. I said I wasn't going to zoom in. I'll use this tool to zoom in though, you see? Look at the detail on these figures. Look, this is surely Lewis and Clark, right? And Sacagawea, maybe? I mean, this is a pretty classic scene. Yeah, Marianne had to explain Manifest Destiny. Hey, Sue John. Okay, I see you in your tattoo. Love it. Yeah, it's just really interesting. So, I mean, this book is really going to be a treat to read. Huh. So here you have instructions on the wagon train. Whoops. Okay, and now we're getting to the end. General directions. Okay, so the book, so each of the instructions you saw, I didn't realize that at the beginning because we didn't read, we were just flipping through. So the quilt that you see there on the right is the quilt we saw originally. And she says, in designing each of the 12 picture panels, I've considered one main needlework technique. So an understanding of each technique will help you in making your own story quilt. Okay, great. Yeah, she used her punto, pleats, directional fabric. Ooh, in Pretty Polly, we'll have to think about using directional fabric to create perspective. Ho, ho, ho. Yeah, Rox, hey Rox. Love this book too. A lot. So there you go. Oh, Stitch Directory. Oh man. Who was gonna start the COVID quilt? Was it Nosta Quilts? I think it was Nosta Quilts. Check this one out from the library, or grab yourself a copy before you start, and you'll probably save yourself. Well, your quilt will probably be even more fabulous, right? Because if you know even just a few things that she's going to be able to teach you, you know, you'll head into it even more ready to make something fabulous. Okay, so that's cool. And I'll put the link to this in the chat. Oh, wait, and one thing about this Internet Archive, it's interesting. So I borrowed it for 1 hour, and then I want to make sure to click. Do you see I'm like spinning my little thing up here at the top? It says return now. So that one I could only borrow for an hour. And the thing is that, so I want to make sure to hit return now so that other people can borrow it, because I think, look at this, says renewable every hour, pending availability. Until now, until this moment, I don't think there were other people clamoring to read Story Quilts and How to Make Them by Mary Claire Clark. But there may be more people soon who will. And is it true that if someone has checked this book out, just like a library, you have to wait until they check it back in? I'm not totally sure. Because every time I have clicked borrow for 1 hour, I have never been thwarted. But I'm not sure how that works. Of course, they will tell you if you read more about the Internet Archive book lending. Okay, but wait, there's more. So there's 2 other books to show you. This is a classic. And this is like, talk about the canon. Jean Ray Laurie, y'all. We haven't talked about her, but we will a lot. But Appliqué Stitchery, 1966. 1966. This is like, oh, I gotta borrow it. Hang on, borrow for 1 hour, because you only get a preview until you borrow the book. And and then you get the whole thing. Look, digitized by the Internet Archive in 2012. I mean, I want you to give money to the Quilt Museum, the International Quilt Museum in Lincoln, Nebraska. If you have but 1 ducat, please give it to the Quilt Museum, especially as the end of year is coming and you're maybe doing some of that stuff. Please donate to the International Quilt Museum. But this is pretty good. I mean, look, they digitized this book in 2012, and now we get to look at it. So Jean Ray Laurie was like, I mean, when people say the quilt Renaissance, when the quilt revival started in the 1970s, like, I used to say that. I think the 1960s actually had a lot to do with how things ended up in the 70s, and Jean Ray Laurie was one of those people. It was like the Freedom Quilting Bee, Jean Ray Laurie. There was a lot going on in the 60s that was laying a foundation for the quilt revival of the 70s, and this book is a big deal. Yeah, Jean Ray Laurie, Little Bird Stitch knows. She was a groundbreaking, fabulous person. And oh yeah, COVID quilts. Everybody should do it. Oh no. Word Bird Nerd. If anybody is like poo-pooing a COVID quilt idea, just be like, I know where my real friends are. Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Central, and Saturdays at 4 p.m. Central. You belong with us. Jean Ray Laurie was a mother, a teacher, an artist. She she became famous for her quilts, her art quilts. There wasn't a word for what she was really making. She was making art in fabric, and early, before other people were thinking of doing that at all, or before she was one of the first people to be recognized for doing quilts that were like paintings. You know, I don't know if I want to compare them to paintings, but there were textiles. You know, textiles were starting to be used in as an artistic medium in a different way in the United States in the 1960s. Black Mountain College there was stuff going on there, and there was who else am I trying to think? There was a famous show, Wall Hangings, in, where was it shown? Anyway, I'm getting very like arcane knowledge here in terms of the 1960s, but there was a lot going on, especially with, you know, women in textiles and making art and using fiber and you know, fiber art textiles, and Jean Ray Laurie was right there, and she was born in California, I think, but she lived in Iowa much of her life, and my mom knew her, and she was just awesome. She was so, and I want to show you. So I'm flipping through this book because this book, you need to get this. You need to get this book as well, because her writing is so lovely, and she shows you how to do everything that she talks about. It's black and white. There's no color pictures. Hey, Sue John, you are welcome. You are so welcome. I'm so glad you came by. Oh yeah, that's interesting. Okay, and oh hey, so it's Mokra. Mokra, is that okay? Mokra just bought quilts and coverlets at the book sale at the Texas Quilt Museum. Quilts and Coverlets is the other really, really canonical book. She wrote so many books, and I can think of another one that's so important. We'll talk about Jean Ray Laurie. We'll just have a Jean Ray Laurie party one of these days. It'll probably be like a 2-part party because she's so cool. Quilts and Coverlets, huge, very important. I have no doubt it is on the Internet Archive. We could look at it together. The other book that she wrote, the first book that I ever got by her, was called Keeping It All Together, which is like a guidebook for like women who want to make like art, who are raising children. And I mean, it's just, you know, it's like, I shouldn't go into these waters too much, but like there's feminism, and then there's like my kind of feminism, which is like boots on the ground, like tell me like don't get too like, I don't know, abstract and theoretical about it. Like talk to me on my level, like as a woman and who's like living in the world. And like, I don't know if that makes any sense. If it does to you, then like, thank you. I'm not good at describing the kind of feminism that I sort of have in my life, but it basically is, Jean Ray Laurie wrote a book about like how to be creative in a life where you might not have much time to do it. And it was just like, yeah, it was practical. It was like a practical book about how to make art. Oh, hey, here's some color photos. To make art in when you're like a busy mom. I don't know. It's really, really cool. And she always seemed to do things that she was sort of effortless in anything she did. She made art, and it was this. It was so great. And she wrote books, and it seemed to be like she had just everything kind of figured out. I'm sure she would not have agreed with that. But she was really instrumental in the quilt revival, I would say, and certainly a fundamental creator. She was a creative who contributed so much to the burgeoning art quilt movement. She was there before. She was in there in the 60s doing her thing. And when you look at her quilts, you can just see she's just wonderful. So, okay, so this is a really good one too, Applique Stitchery. I'll put a link in the chat as well. And then the last one, Faith, it's interesting about drugs, quilts and drugs. Very interesting. In the 70s. Yeah, well, okay, yeah. So Kevin is saying from the, oh yeah, so he's got this is great, information about the Internet Archive and how it works from the frequently asked questions. So the Internet Archive says if the book is available And there is no waiting time. You simply download it. Oh, I didn't even know you could download it. I didn't even know. I was just looking at it online. Cool. If the book is already out on loan, you will be invited to join a waiting list, and you will be notified via email as soon as the book is available. When you get notified depends on where you are on the waiting list and when the book is returned. Awesome. Thank you, Kevin, very much. So many good quilt books. Totally. Holmes. Faith's like, what about drugs and quilts? And Holmes says, what do you want to know? Holmes, I feel like we could hang. Molly Upton knew of her work. Oh, totally, Marianne. That makes sense. Holmes, you need to slip into my DMs. Okay. I want to do one thing for you. I got to go to the Quilt Museum, man. I got to go to the International Quilt Museum collections. I am going to show you a couple quilts. I told you this is going to be a long show. I told you it was. And it is, because it's just the way it is. Here, look at this. Look at this. And then there's one more quilt book I want to show you that's going to influence or inform our Quilt Nerd project. Look. This is Jean Ray Laurie. This was made in 1981. Okay. 1981. How about I do this? Hang on. How about I do this? How about you look at that beauty? Oh, yeah. Look at that beauty. And I'll pull up another beauty. Oh. That's called Starfire. I'm going to pull up an earlier Jean Ray Laurie quilt. And we saw one of these. I'm sure it's in this collection. Probably. Yeah. Here it is. Look. We saw there was a little illustration in that book. I'm sure you will recognize it, right? We saw those pods in the applique stitchery book when we were looking at it, right? This one, that's the quilt. Okay, it's called Pods, and then there's a colon, a pair, Pods, a pair, and it was made in 1959. 1959. You know, look at this. Okay, let's look at this. Yeah, we'll talk about Jean Ray. Look, Doppler effect. 1984. Could you die? I did not. No, we're stopping. We're stopping this insanity. We can't talk about Jean Ray Laurie on the fly. We're not doing that. No. Nope. I'll put the link to the collection of quilts that the Quilt Museum has in the Discord show notes, so you can peruse and do your own investigation. But we're not doing this. We're not jumping into Jean Ray Laurie. I've been on for 2.5 hours. Okay, the last book that I'm going to show you that I found on the Internet Archive that was very cool and relevant was this one. Story Quilts, Telling Your Tale in Fabric, Mary Mashuda. And this one was written in 1992, same year that Orlovsky's published their book. And it is, again, I didn't look through a lot of it, but I looked through enough of it to know that, CNT, they published my book. I looked at it enough to know that it will probably be of use as well. Hang on. Borrow 1 hour. Did it let me do it? I haven't done the quilt ASMR for a while. I'm looking forward to seeing your blogs. Sorry. Okay. Marianne hates it when I do that. Okay. Creating a story quilt, the process. Okay. We won't go through the whole book, although it's shorter, 97 pages. You see, look. Oh, okay. So she's really talking about, did I return the other book? This is a good question. Did I? Oh yeah, no, I didn't. I didn't return it. Thank you. Thank you. Who said that? Whoever. Word and Bird Nerd. Thank you. I hadn't returned it. So Applique Stitchery is back. It's back. So this book is really helping you in the creative process of telling your story, right? Telling your story through a quilt. So she said, because look, it says remembering childhood. Was your childhood ordinary with a very small O? Before reading the stories and looking at the quilts in this chapter, you may have decided so. However, many of the quilters whose stories and work appear here have created quilts about experiences that probably weren't so very different from some of the things you did. Interesting. How do you get to the Discord? Ooh. Okay, so that is a very good question. And Quilting Chic, I will post a link to it. I've got a note right here that says Discord. So that's next. Before we close out tonight, I will talk about the Discord and send you a link so you can join. Really interesting. This is great. I gotta get this one too. I do. You know, Abe Books ought to sponsor this show or something. I don't know. Some used bookstore should. I mean, family stories, tales and memories. So yeah. So this is cool. This is more of a, help you get ideas. We have a theme for our pictorial quilt. We want to make a quilt nerd, like an homage to being a quilt nerd. I think that's the theme, like a celebration of being nerdy about quilts, because it's important, because it enriches us, I think, as people. It makes us think, it makes us laugh. We discover all the time. Quilts help us discover all the time what the world is like, and like what we're like, and like this is like an inner journey. We go from like, oh, what did Hungary do? Like after the Soviet Union fell, like we learned about that yesterday. Well, now we're looking coping with life. Look, chapter 5, coping with life. It's just what it is. So our quilt is an homage to like the power of like quilt nerdery. Yep. So true, Faith. Marianne. So yeah. Okay. So this is just another really good one, and it is called Story Quilts: Telling Your Tale in Fabric. I bet that's a very good book. I think I'll be getting that one too, right? Like I'll be looking on abebooks.co.uk when I close out the show to get a copy of it. Okay. So now, because at some point I have to end the show. I don't know. Do I? Some of those gamers on Twitch, they do like a 24-hour stream. Like play a game for 24 hours. No. All right. What I didn't get to tonight, and we just can't, because I am getting a little bit tired. We did not get to the story about the Afro-American Heritage Bicentennial Commemorative Quilt. So we will begin the show on Saturday talking about this, okay? Here, this is what I'm talking about. It's fabulous. It's this. Look, there's a video. Look, it's like an hour long. So maybe I'll view. I should watch that and then in prep. But look, this is one of the quilts that I showed you, and there's so much about it, and it's fascinating. And then apparently it was stolen like last year. So we just have to learn about it, okay? Because it's a pictorial quilt that will inspire us, but also it's just a really interesting story. Oh yes. Okay. So, oh yeah, I've got my list and I'm ticking off everything. Okay, not that. We'll talk about that on Saturday. And now let's just discuss the Discord here for a minute. Hey, Faith, it's my pleasure. More crisps, yeah. You don't have to tell me twice. Okay. Look at that quilt. Okay, so here's the deal on the Discord. Yeah. I'm going to put a link in the chat to invite you. If you're not part of it already. It's a thing. Like it's a thing. People are using it. It's kind of a sidecar to this show. They really work together. you know, it's interesting that like Twitch did not create a, you know, clubhouse, like, you know, like we have to use this different thing on the Twitch show. You know, there has to be a different platform. It's a little clunky, to be honest, but it is what it is. Eric's least favorite expression, but sometimes it's just true. So here is what this is about. Okay. I'm going to show you our Discord. Oh yeah. Oh, no, don't read ahead. Nope. So this is our Discord, and I'm going to invite people. Okay. I'm going to invite people. Copy. Okay. Set this link to never expire. I'm going to do that. I do that every time. Discord is the after show. Exactly. This is the after party. This is where we hang out when the show is not live. And so it's a server. Oh God, Discord server. Two less inspiring words there never were, but it's a place where we hang out. There are different channels, okay? There are different channels in the Discord. And here's what that's all about. So you get an invitation, and then you get to click in and be part of this thing. And so one of the channels is the lobby channel. And this is where people just say hello and what's up. Oh yeah, this is great. People say hi, and somebody's new, Rawful, it was new on the 28th of October, wave to say hi. I'm gonna click that and wave, hey. And so people, look, Wheelless Studios, hello, happy to be here, and connect with other quilt nerds. Yay, all right, cool. So this lobby is where, you know, somebody's like, maybe like, hey, I'm headed to Shipshewana. What's the best quilt shop? You know, does anybody recommend a good quilt shop in Shipshewana? And if somebody catches that message, you can talk about that stuff. If somebody wants to check in on Faith, how are you feeling? The lobby is a great place to do it. Okay. There's a lot I do not know about Discord. Oh, so much, but I know the basics. Making. Oh yeah. Cause like in the chat, oh, this is ridiculous. Have you all seen this? This is Kevin, everyone. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Who are you? Who are you? That's beautiful. It's just beautiful, Kevin. So, obviously at the show, you all can chat, and it's so great. I love it when you do that. It's just the best. But you can't send images, you know, and you can put a link in to the chat, but you know, if the show's happening, some people might not want to click on it at that moment or whatnot. And so you can do it here at the Discord. You can post a link, and you can post pictures of your projects, okay? So, yeah, see, Holmes, overdyed. We talked about overdyed quilts. You overdyed this quilt. That's so cool. I love those colors. Those colors are really great. See, I need to catch up. I need to catch up on the Discord. I'm very behind on seeing these. Oh my God. This is Charles. Charles, really? This is amazing. Okay, I can't do this because now I have to look at everybody's stuff and we'll be here all night. You're amazing. Everybody's amazing. Newswire. This is a channel where people can post news. Like, hey, Susan R. Michael said, hey, I read this thing and in the quilt universe, and I want to tell y'all about it. Look. Johnson Museum of Art, bold by design, art quilts from the collection of Jack Walsh. Wow, I am glad. That's like a hot tip. You know, this is the series. Susan R. Michael, she's my guy. She's my source. This is Joy Seville. God, I love her work so much. So this is where if you hear about a thing, or you read a magazine article, you know, if you read something in the Wall Street Journal about quilts, link it, tell us about it, the Newswire. Or if there's a big show coming up, like, oh, I don't know, the Boston Museum of Fine Arts show, you know, we just want to know about it, you know, so put it in the Newswire. And particularly me, like you can email me hot tips at twitch at maryfons.com, totally. But I'm telling you, this Newswire hot tip line, I love it. I'm here for it. I love it. I will use these things, you know, on the show. It's great. Eye candy, just pretty stuff. Quilt coat, not made by cutting up an existing quilt. Wow, this is great. Oh my god. Okay, so yeah, if you watch this show, you know that right now quilts being cut up to use as fashion is very much on my mind. I'm studying it, I'm writing about it, I'm making a lecture about it. So this is an example of someone who can make a quilted coat garment that is not destroying a quilt, but in fact making a new one. Kevin, I thank you. I see you, and I thank you. It's fabulous. It's fabulous. That fabric is great. Is that Alexander Henry fabric? It seems like it might be. I haven't thought of them in a long time. We should look at them too. So yeah, just pretty stuff. Like, oh, Kevin, I'm living for this. I'm living for this. And your pose. So you see, if you're not part of the Discord, see why you need to be on the Discord. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, this is great. This is great. Okay, yeah. Someone said, I know what I'm doing tonight. You're going to be in the Internet Archive. I'm going to catch up on the Discord. What an interesting picture. I didn't even realize. I thought that was a weaving, but that's a quilt. Wow. Oh, fascinating. God, this is the best. Okay, and then episode discussion. This is great. This is an important one, okay? This is an important one because there's so much good stuff in here. So what I do, I'm going to let everybody explore this, but what I do after every show is that I put in the episode discussion, I don't want to get you dizzy here, but I got to go like this. Okay, I do this. Here we go. It's, you know, if it could be prettier or, I don't know, it could look less like just a whole bunch of text, I would do it that way, but it has to be this way. So episode 44, you know, was yesterday, quilts in Hungary and math, science stuff. Oh, I spelled science wrong. That's fun. I just can't leave that be. I can't. I won't sleep. Yeah, okay. That's great. Sorry. I'm sorry. That's it. Okay, I did it. Is that fine? Can I just... Okay. So I put all the show notes, the links that I mention. You know, I talked about a Houston Chronicle article. I put the link there for you. Books that I recommend, like all the stuff that we talk about as best as I can remember, I put into the episode discussion channel on the Discord. And yeah, it's, you know, it's a lot. You don't have to read through all that stuff, but I number all the episodes because if you're ever thinking like, oh, what was that? There was a Hungarian quilt. We talked about Hungarian quilts, didn't we? Last year, you know, last fall, wasn't there a thing about Hungarian quilts? And so then you can go in here to this Discord, you see up in the upper right-hand corner, and you can search Hungarian. And you're going to find stuff, you know, you're going to find it. And, or if somebody says, oh, look at episode 44, you know, you can search episode 44 and you're going to find stuff right here. Okay. So you can look back on it. So it's basically, it's a record of everything we're doing here. Now, I'm just going to go through these because I've added a couple things. Okay. We're going to add one more. Show info. Very simple. It's a channel it isn't for commenting or chatting. You can like things and stuff, but it's for me to put updates about the show. Like I just did this past week, moved a day for the stream. And I've recently added 2 channels. This one, MFab, is for the Museum of Fine Arts Boston Fabric of a Nation exhibit. This is a little flyer I made. It's interesting. Like I think about like, well, we're a fairly small group, you know, here in the live, but on the replay in YouTube, who knows how many people will see this. But if you want, my mom and I are going to go see that exhibit on December 22nd in Boston. Our tickets are for 11 a.m., our entry tickets. And I talked to my mom and we're going to go. This is the flyer I made for little thing, the info flyer. We're going to go to Boston and see the show. And if you want to go to Boston and see the show at the same time we're seeing it, why not? That's great. We're not giving a tour. It's not official. The museum knows nothing about this. So like, So I hope it's okay. I hope it's not going to be a total disaster. This flyer is in this channel, MFAB, okay? This is the Museum of Fine Arts Boston channel for this little thing that's happening. And so here in this channel is, articles you might read about the exhibit, reviews you might have come across about the exhibit. You can throw that in here. And you can also, I'm going to be able to use this to get some idea of like, are there like 7 people who are maybe going to come by and see the show with me and mom? Or, are there like 20 people? It's going to be a place where we talk about all that and just kind of, so it's a channel that'll only be around for a little while. Okay. Oh, great. Rox is on the Discord. Excellent. Okay, Sue, it's good to see you. We've been on for a long time, but I don't know, just the way it is sometimes. Okay. So then the last thing, well, we want to add, this came up tonight, the Rabbit Hole channel or the Nerd Out channel, a place where you can put books and articles and just like, yeah, we don't have that channel yet, right? Because if you find an amazing book that's really nerdy and you want to put it somewhere, you need to have a place to put it, right? It's not about a specific episode. It's not news. It's not news about quilt nerdery. It's hang on. This is naming this by committee is bad. I'm just going to choose. I'm going to call it nerdery. Nerdery? No. Quilt. No. Hang on. Just a minute. I'm going to do my first instinct. Nerd out. Okay. You're nerd out. You're just going to nerd out on something. You're like, oh my gosh, I nerded out on this thing. I found this thing. Just let me show you. You're going to nerd out on this. Okay. Nerd out. So I'm going to create that channel and I'm going to edit this channel and I'm going to put a description. Could I do this when I'm not live? Yes, I could. But did you find a nerdy book, article, video, etc.? Hang on. Fascinating. I know. It's great content. Want to share it with your fellow nerds? We're here for it. Post that link. Picture, book, title, etc. That's it. Boom. There it is. Put all of your cool stuff in there. Okay. Oh, sorry. That's my Discord beeping when someone comes in. Okay, I think that did it. Yep. I think that's it for now. Cool. Yep, there it is. Put anything you want in there. Now this last thing, and then we're gonna say goodnight. I haven't made this. This is a private channel at the moment, simply because I want to figure out just how to do it. But we were talking about this idea that we may be in the middle of a third wave quilt revival, or something is happening right now with quilts, at least in the United States, and this idea that like these things are official because people write about them, like some sort of proclamation is made about a particular time period being, or a movement, being a movement. There's usually something published about it. And I think myself and several of the nerds, you nerds out there, are thinking that there's data available and there's data that could be gotten about maybe the numbers, of quilt makers in America and the economics of quilting over the past like 20 years. Anyway, it seems like a project to me. It seems like a place where, anybody who was interested in actually focusing and like sort of contributing to this idea, because I think I'm going to write something about it and submit it to a journal like the American Quilt Study Group or something like that. Like, it's a private channel for the moment because I don't know you know, how to sort of structure this. But I think soon on a broadcast in the next couple weeks, I'll say, okay, look, here's the idea. Who wants in on this to kind of pull up statistics and things? This comment I put in from one of you. I copied, forgive me. I copied a comment from the episode discussion. Yeah, here. I copied the link from, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to figure, like sweets. Okay, so it was Charles, I believe. Anyway, place for statistics, a place for numbers, a place for researching this idea that we're in a third wave quilt revival. So that's going to be a place that's going to be so helpful if people are contributing to this idea, this paper, this article that I think that it should be written. So that's just a place on the Discord that will be for that. And some people will use that channel, some people won't. It won't be like private to only people who are part of the project, I don't think. But it's just not live yet. But it will be. Okay. Yeah, I think, the pandemic, man. I think it's a big deal. So thanks, Susan. Thank you, everybody. A body cam. Maybe I could wear a body cam. Sue, everybody, you're all awesome. I really appreciate you. And Myra, Mhick, Susan, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. Resources. Oh yeah, resources. Thanks for sticking around. See you on the Discord. See you on the show on Saturday. And be well. And yeah, I gotta just sign off. I don't know. Okay. Bye, y'all.